I think, in my opinion, it is the hardest job in the department to be a canine handler because there's so much asked of you. And just like the SWAT technicians, 'cause that's the rank in Denver as a technician. When you show up on a scene, whether if you're the first one there on a barricade or whatever it is, it doesn't matter who else is really there. If you're the first one in green or in the tactical uniform that shows up, everybody's sort of looking to you. Hey, what are we going to do?
I think it's important that if you guys are doing a lot of work where there's flashbangs, but the dog is not in drive, the dog's not expected to be doing something, throw some hearing protection on the dog to let it disseminate some of that volume, because you're going to, if your dog is a little anxious and a little high drive and you keep repeating that, you're going to end up with a problem that's hard to recover.
Welcome to Police K9 Radio. I'm Gregg Tawney. With me, Richard Hartman. Richard, what's going on?
Thanks, Dad.
What's your middle name?
Eric.
Richard Eric?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it still goes to this day. You're finishing up a supervisor class.
We are.
And I heard you offered one free tuition to anybody that would come and be on be on the podcast with us.
That didn't work. So then we upped it, and then we actually
free
sweetened
coffees,
the pot
and
threw a T-shirt and a deal and challenge coin. That's how you get the most.
How's that class going? Actually, my thought was there's a whole bunch of supervisors probably there that have not been in K9. Did you scare them away from wanting to supervise a K9 unit?
Yeah, so actually more than half. I think we had a total of 40.
More than half don't want to do it anymore?
No, more than half didn't show up for day 3. No, they all showed back up. But we had 40 supervisors, like 6 different states, all the way from Oklahoma. So it was a kind of a cool mix, but it just shows you, man, we all do the same job. Doesn't matter what state you're in, right? And yeah, it sucks because in the supervisor course, we're not showing all the videos of everything that's going right. Yeah. It's like, hey, this is how everybody messed this up. Don't do the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, don't make the same mistakes. And that's the whole, whole purpose of the class. So it was a good class. It was fun, and I always take away a few things from it myself. So
coming off the Bruce Pratt interview was probably really good to be armed with some of that information. I know you guys already have a lot of that going in, but I think I was just watching that interview again and sharing it with some cops up in our area that are not K9 handlers. They were just looking at like the body-worn camera stuff, and there's still agencies out there. Did you get to ask that question?
Man, I didn't.
There's still agencies out there that require you to not look at your body-worn camera footage before writing a report on a use of force, and I just I don't get it, but I know that those are rules. And the agency that I left before I went to my retirement agency, when I was there, had that in place. You couldn't look at your body-worn camera footage before writing a report about a use of force, which obviously we were talking about. It has witnesses, victims, suspects, what other people, like I'm writing a report about all these things and I can't look at this account, that's now going to be in perpetuity, right? Like everybody else gets to see it but me. And they've changed the rule there. That's not the case, but it is a problem. And obviously we'll talk to our guests about that as we move forward.
Well, there were a few things from that podcast. If you haven't listened to the Bruce Pratt podcast, it was that little tidbit, and then it was documenting training. And that was another part of the supervisor course, is not getting over articulate and over explaining things and going more to like a checkbox thing. Did they complete it? Yes.
Pass,
that type of thing.
Right?
Pass, fail.
Yeah. Same thing we're doing at the range. It's funny because I think we were part of almost over documenting some stuff for a while. And then you look at every other thing, that use of force, range stuff, like nobody's going through all that and saying, hey, fired a little, 4 inches to the left on this one. It was a little high, and it was pass or fail. Yeah. And then we went the extra mile in K9 for a little bit, and now we aren't.
And here we are today.
So you have a guest?
We do. All the way from, is it the Golden State?
No, that's us, man.
What's Colorado?
Ask your
What's
guest.
Colorado?
That's a good question.
What's the
Colorful
state,
Colorado.
What's the state bird?
Also a good question.
People are tuning out. We're losing our credibility here really fast.
We have a really pretty C on the flag. I did notice that. I got back from Colorado. I was in Colorado Springs. Took a 190-pound Cane Corso out there to a family that adopted that dog. That dog rode on the back of our Yukon.
Oh, is that Monster?
Creature.
Yeah,
I rode on the back of our Yukon for 20 hours straight. And
nice. Rode like this all the way.
He was a big dog. Anyway, happy ending to Creature.
Yeah. So we have Sergeant Jesse Rembert of the Denver Police Department, in charge of probably the 2 best spots you can get in a law enforcement agency. K9, traffic.
No, that's not.
And school resource. No, he is in charge of K9 and SWAT. And thanks for joining us, Jesse.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
That is that's a fun gig. We were talking a little bit about before we started recording, like what those guys are doing, and they aren't shagging calls. And we'll talk about their duties, but being a K9 guy assigned to SWAT, getting to go out and just handle K9 calls is amazing. And I was K9 obviously, and it was an auxiliary, right? So you work patrol, so I could be doing a rape case, dogs in the car, like, hold on, ma'am, it's been 2 hours that I've been talking to you. I need to go out and potty my dog and come back in, doing some burglary or something, and you're, fingerprinting the whole dang place. And you're like, man, I got this dog out in the car, and you're hearing hot calls that are going off, and you're like, this is the last place I want to be, is on this hour-and-a-half interview when I've got a K9. But, smaller agency and less opportunities. So
Yeah, it doesn't sound like this is Jesse's life.
No, my handler's life, not so much.
That's right. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got in law enforcement, what you've done in law enforcement, and what you're doing now?
Sure. So I've always kind of wanted to be an officer. It was on my list of things to do. I've been, I think, pretty lucky. When I was a child, I wanted to be a firefighter, became a firefighter. I wanted to drive 18-wheelers, got to drive 18-wheelers. I wanted to be in the Army and be a Green Beret. I got to do that, be a Green Beret. And I wanted to be an officer. And I got to do that. And I went to, I was a firefighter. I resigned after 9/11 in the city of Durham, and went to Afghanistan for a little bit. And I came back to Denver. I tested for the police and the fire, and the police hired me, and I'm glad they did. And I've been a cop ever since.
So you left firework to go deploy? Like you had a calling?
It was a little bit after, probably a year or so after 9/11. Then my team deployed, and we got activated and went. 'Cause I was in the Colorado National Guard. I was in at that point I was in Illinois National Guard. I was in 20th Special Forces Group, and we deployed. And I came back to Colorado and tested and got hired.
I feel less of a man right now. Just want to let you know, I thought I did some cool stuff.
Wait, I'm putting my seat up so I can tower a little bit of try to compensate a little bit.
No, that's an awesome story. I mean, to get to do all of those things. It's funny because I thought about that, like, being a firefighter would be cool.
Did you do any rodeo or anything like that?
No, those
busting some bulls or something.
I almost got through everything. When I was a kid, I also wanted to be one of the rodeo clowns.
Oh,
I did not do that. I did not do that.
Legit. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's take some out. You wouldn't have any knees left. I think.
Yeah, I don't think I have any bones left. Those guys get broken.
Those guys are having a hard time walking. How long did you spend deployed?
Just about a year.
Yeah. That's a long time. It's a long time in that theater.
Some of those guys have gone back multiple times, so mine comparatively wasn't that. Compared to others, it wasn't so bad, but yeah, it was a significant amount of time.
Once again, this episode is brought to you by Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. There's only one brand of dog food that we use and recommend. That is Inukshuk Professional Dog Food. Inukshuk was created for working dogs and continues to be the top choice for all working dogs, from hunting dogs to sled dogs, and of course, police canines. Whether it be detection or patrol canines, visit inukshukpro.com, or you can find all of the formulas on chewy.com. One of the, I own Ridgeside, it's a pet training facility, and one of the guys that owns Ridgeside in Colorado Springs is Brady, and he's a Green Beret medic, but he does canine medic stuff. Actually, he's in your backyard, so if you need any canine medic classes, he puts those on and does a really good job. He's really informative, and he was just, I don't know what the designator is for a human medic, but he was doing that and realized that there was a need for canine medics, that they just didn't have the tools and the knowledge to go in there and treat dogs that are being hurt out in the field, and especially in a war theater, right? So he has gone deep dive on that side and does really good emergency medicine for dogs.
Yeah, definitely have to get his information. Maybe try to bring him up and do some training with him.
Yeah, I can get that for you before we leave. So go to be a cop. Was it your plan to head down the path to K9, or did that just kind of appear?
It just kind of happened. So I got hired, and I worked downtown nights and weekends for probably, 6 or 7 years or so. And then I tested for and got selected to go onto the SWAT team. I spent a little bit of time, I was a long-term temp with our gang unit, and I worked on one of our street crimes teams, downtown street crimes team in District 6. Then I got selected to go onto the SWAT team. So I went on the SWAT team, and I did that for about, 6 years or so. And that was sort of my first introduction to really working alongside the canines. Brett Titus was there at that point.
Yeah, it's one of my kind of mentors. I mean, we've had him on the podcast. was like on my. We're a little over 100 episodes, and he was like episode. I'm gonna get it wrong, but it was like 7 or something like that. And he had tack dogs, and really, really good trainer, really good guy, and good operator.
Yeah, he was great. Also had Jeff Meyer there, so I had there's some good handlers that were on the team then. But again, I was on the SWAT side, and so we worked around each other. But I didn't really have a good understanding of what the dogs do or how they do it. I just knew that they were fantastic. So they were finding people. They were always there with us. Then I let them convince me. I decided to promote. That was probably one of the dumber things I've ever done in my life.
Everybody has that same story.
Yeah.
Nobody's thrilled about that.
They didn't tell me about the fine print. So that's where they
where you spend the rest of your career in the fine print.
That's exactly it. So then with that, I promoted, and I got put on. I was in charge. I got put on one of our Southeast Denver, the District 3, their street crimes team. So I was a sergeant on the street crimes team for a couple of years. Then I moved over to go to internal affairs because I kind of wanted to see how the sausage is made. Like, how are the decision makers making these decisions that some of them I didn't understand. So I wanted to be able to better support my team. So I did that for about a year, and that was probably about 3 or 4 months after I went over there. George Floyd happened, so I was in internal affairs through that part, which was fantastic. And then did about a year of that, and then I got moved over to the gang unit. So I got to supervise the gang unit for a couple of years, and that was my first time really supervising, because they had night shift dogs, canines, still assigned to the SWAT team, but they were working nights, so I got to work with them there. That was my first really interaction supervising them, doing a canine use of force. And then after a couple of years of that, they asked me to come back to the SWAT team and do both dual roles, be the canine sergeant, and then be sort of like the relief SWAT sergeant. So 51% canine sergeant, they're my priority, the canines, and then also assist the SWAT team.
So before we go down the cool side, one question for you from the IA side of things. Young cops out there listening right now.
Rich knows a lot about that.
He's
been in and out of the system.
Spent a few minutes in the principal's office.
You were that guy.
If you could, I was their union vice president, so I represented a lot of people. And you learn, and this is the question I'm going to ask you. What's the best way, if you're going to give some information to a young cop to stay out of trouble, what do you see that cops are getting into trouble for? And what's the easiest way to avoid that?
Really,
I have my answer.
Know the policy, and know what you can and can't do, and also how you talk to people. Really, most of the complaints when I was up there were service complaints, and a lot of it's just talking to people. And not everybody's a criminal. You don't have to talk to everybody like they're a criminal. But also some of the stuff, then it goes back in. When you're doing stuff, know what you can chase, what you can't chase, and what you can follow and what you can't. Because policies, ours has changed recently, so just know what you can do.
Yeah, I think it's in the beginning it seems overwhelming, right? Even with K9, whatever it is, like you get this binder of policies, and
it's like
when you and you don't know, you don't even know really how to write a ticket, and you're like, all right, well, what in this Bible do I really need to pay attention to? Like, where's the 10 Commandments at for police work? And then you forget, like, oh, if I have a dip in, I'm not allowed to spit in the drinking fountain, and the lieutenant hates me as it is, and he saw me spit in the drinking fountain, right? Now I broke that rule. Like, you're right, it is good to know the rules, both so you can kind of know how to skirt them, right? Know, like, how to stay out of trouble, and then what's clear not to do. Like, I think
how to articulate things, what you did, how to actually write, how you got from reasonable suspicion to probable cause, and then when it goes into a use of force, why did it get there, and actually articulate the things that got you there. So not just, saw bad guy arrested, same, but, all the steps along the way.
Same thing Bill says, same thing that Bruce says. Like that articulation is, I think, where young and old cops fall off, right? And especially when it comes to use of force, like, hey, I was in a dark alley and I saw some scary stuff and then I used some force. Like, hey, we need more than that, right? And then I think it's all cool because you can do that a lot and never get called to the stand. And then you get into that, you get complacent on writing your reports. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 10 years into your career, you're sitting on that stand trying to explain something that happened that you wrote a page on, and it probably should have been 5 pages.
Yeah.
It's those details matter. Did you ran a dog in that whole K9 process?
No, I have not run a dog. So it's been a educational process for me. So, when I got moved over, I mean, it was really like day one. It was sitting down with the guys and asking them, hey, what do I need to know, and what can I do to better support you to get you what you need? What do I need to do to be a good canine sergeant for you?
What'd they tell you?
That they want somebody to advocate for them in their on their needs and their wants, and that when they need new patrol cars or and come to the training so that I have a better understanding of what the dogs can and can't do, what's reasonable, what's not reasonable to expect of an animal, no matter how well trained. So it was really a lot of
Support.
that.
They wanted support. Somebody there to advocate for them.
This was part of the supervisor course. It's like, hey, man, I know, like you said, half of them have never run a dog, and I think sometimes supervisors get a little intimidated, right? And maybe around the dog guys, and they don't want to go out there. They don't want to look dumb. But it's just like, man, just go out there and just, we recommend, hey, go out there, get in a bite suit, show up with some fucking donuts. You know what I mean? Like be there for them. And just like Jesse's saying, like, hey, what do you guys need? How can I make your job easier? What are your expectations of me? And then, hey, here's my expectations of you. And we friggin' push forward and have mutual respect. And, it's way better than I'm the new sergeant. I don't know what they do. It makes me a little nervous. I think I'll hang out in the office and just communicate, with everybody through email.
Or come in and start making some grandiose changes because
it's going to look good for my lieutenant packet.
I have to put a stamp on this unit that says that I was here, right? Like and when you're doing that with dogs, like you can make a really small decision that has huge impacts on the team, right? Like from now on, we're keeping the dogs at the station.
Yeah.
That seems easy.
What?
Yeah. Like,
we're sharing dogs. The dog works 7 days a week. You guys share them.
Yeah.
Save some money. But Denver SWAT, I think you guys get 1 or 2 calls a year.
1 or 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I remember it blew my mind when I spoke with Brett back in the day because, on K9, with his dog, I think he was over 100 bites. With the SWAT team, and the way that your agency integrates dogs into SWAT, and we talked about this earlier, and it'd be great to share with our listeners, but I don't think most of the country has, we've got SWAT and K9 working together, but you guys have fully integrated.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about some of your deployment numbers, just to give our listeners an idea of how much you guys are out there doing what you're doing.
Yeah, so generally, you can, anywhere from 350 to 450 operations on the SWAT side a year. Now that encompasses sometimes protests and dignitary visits, things like that. But there's a lot of warrant services, a lot of fugitive operations, a lot of barricades, hostage rescues. I want to say we've probably last year the crisis entries. So I would say we probably did 5 of those, and then the year before that, probably close to the same. And then warrant services, sometimes we do 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day. Sometimes we'll go 3 or 4 days without doing one. But in that intervening time, we're probably doing a number of fugitive operations, a lot of robbery suspects, homicide suspects, shooting suspects, and on every one of those operations, the dogs are integrated into that team. The dogs are there for everything, and they are part of the team. The dogs are. They're SWAT operators and they're canine handlers.
Hey, we'd like to welcome our new sponsor and old friend, Blackjack's Leather. Blackjack's is the true definition of a mom and pop shop. They're out in Illinois. Richard, the owner, is somebody that we work extensively with. They make leather leashes, leather collars, biothane. We get a ton of biothane from them. Biothane 3-foot, 6-foot, 20-foot, 30-foot leashes. All kinds of colors. I know everybody that's listening to the podcast is into the tactical with the greens and the coyotes and the blacks. But if you have a pet dog at home and you want your dog to be a little flashy, we love their long line biothane leashes. There's blues, there's pinks, there's oranges, yellows, all kinds of colors. Add a little flash to your program. And they really care about canine handlers. They're big on making sure that the equipment that they sell is safe for the dog and safe for the handler, and exactly what you're asking for. Blackjack's Leather, thanks for joining us. We appreciate you.
Handlers.
Is every canine at Denver also part of SWAT, or is it select canines that can kind of make that crossover?
The apprehension dogs, they are part of the SWAT team. We also just incorporated a tactical bomb dog. So the most senior SWAT operators, Metro 11. So last year sometime, we decided that we had a need to have a tactical bomb dog with us based on some calls we'd been on where, people were saying that they had IEDs, that there were explosives. There were explosives in cars right next to where we had to go in and do a warrant service. So having one of our bomb techs with a dog on a line moving up with SWAT operators, really, it wasn't the best for us how that worked out. So we decided to try a different option of having a tactical bomb dog, which now he's fully certified on all the odors. He's had multiple deployments now, checking venues, but he's operates within the SWAT team. We can range him out off lead.
Okay, that was going to be my question. Yeah. What's the difference between your run-of-the-mill, generic, bomb dog and a tactical?
I'm not disparaging. Our bomb dogs are great. Bomb dog guys, they're fantastic guys.
I don't get you in trouble.
They're friends of mine. Okay. So
I'm guessing control
off lead. So we can send them out, and we can
directional. You doing like laser type?
Not
stuff
laser, but
today?
he can hand direct.
Okay.
Again, I'm not on the handle. I go and I watch it, but I do not pretend to be an expert in how they're doing it. But they can send them, hundreds of feet down and by hand and direct them where he wants them to go, down them, bring them back. Gives a final when he indicates on odor.
What breed?
Lab.
That makes sense. I knew it wasn't a cocker. Yeah. You're not giving directional on a cocker.
Cocker's gone.
Could have been a corgi. I checked it. But the other good thing about it, like we can deploy him in schools. We can deploy him because he's not a bite dog, So I can send him through and not have any. We don't have any worries about him, having a bad interaction with anybody. So we have him. But the other dogs, like the bomb dogs, are assigned to a different unit. The other narcotics dogs are assigned to a different unit as well. One of my handlers was a narcotics detective, and he had a narcotics dog. He decided he wanted to change over 2 years ago now, and he came over with his narcotics dog. So he's running dual dogs for now. He has we got him an apprehension dog, and he has his narcotics dog. So that's the only narcotics dog that actually falls under us now. But all the other dogs are part of other units.
So all of your SWAT dogs are all single purpose, just apprehension.
We have one
find bad guys, and
we have one that is a gun dog also.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know that we've used him recently for that. So mostly just for the apprehension.
And how many dogs total in the unit?
Total in the unit are 6 now, and 5 of them are the apprehension dogs.
And that's assigned with SWAT.
Assigned to SWAT.
Do you have a separate patrol division of dogs? Okay, so that's for the whole city. You have
that's for the whole city.
Okay.
6 dogs for the whole city.
Yeah. That's not a lot for a big city like that.
Busy.
That's why they're getting so much work.
Yeah, they get a lot of work, and we're pretty busy. I think so far this year, we talked about it, I think in the class, we're at 8 physical apprehensions, 8 bites so far this year. And I'm going to guess at this point 150 operations. That's just a guess, but it's got to be somewhere close to that.
So 5% or lower of your deployments are resulting in a physical apprehension.
Yeah, I think we did the math a couple weeks back. The chief was asking about it, and I think it was 2.7% or something like that of deployments to bites.
So we talk about this a lot because in California, there's always a push from some politician to get rid of dogs, right? And cops and everything else, but specifically dogs. And we always talk about, like, with those kind of numbers, are you guys putting out frequently information like in a press release of successful give-ups where the dog didn't bite somebody, or do you even have to kind of go down that path? Here, it's a big deal, right? Like, hey, your dogs are biting too many people. Like, same thing. We have agencies that are at 2% apprehensions, like physical apprehensions. Right. So that means 98% of them never resulted in a bite, but they're not talking about that. And we talk about dogs as a de-escalation tool all the time, but agencies forget to tell the community how often they're actually de-escalating,
our
in a
worst
call.
PR. Yeah, we do a terrible job as an industry.
Yeah, it's not. We wait until something sexy happens and like, hey, that really bad guy tried to get away and the dog caught him. But what about the other 98% of the time where the dog just came out, people said, hey, I don't want to mess with the dog. And I mean, you obviously don't have to go down that path because you're a big enough and busy city, but some of these agencies do, and they forget to tell the consumers how well the dog does at other work that doesn't include biting people, which is most of the time, obviously.
Yeah, and the vast majority of the time, the dogs do not do not bite. They're like you said, a de-escalation tool. And in the class today or this week, talking to the other handlers from other agencies and seeing how they do it, and we're all kind of on the same path there with that same sort of numbers. But yeah, I think we're lucky that we don't have to get out there and cheerlead for ourselves a lot. I mean, I think we have some pretty good support, but and I think throughout my chain of command, I have excellent support all the way up through the chief. So, and I think when somebody asks, they kind of say that, hey, our dogs are de-escalation tools, and they don't have a lot of bites compared to our deployments.
Awesome. That's great news. What breeds are you typically using?
Dutch Shepherds and Malinois.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I would say you guys are very kind of proactive. You're kind of ahead of the time a little bit in a lot of ways. Progressive. Yeah, that's a better word. You're very progressive, and so
it is Denver.
It just came to me, So
we weren't going to talk about that.
So let's talk about some of the tools you use in tandem with your canines, and you don't have just the furry ones.
Right.
You've got the robotic type.
It's Rocco.
Oh, is it Rocco?
It's Rocco.
It's no longer Spot.
It's no longer Spot.
And now it's Rocco, and he's a robot dog. And you guys, is he part of the team as far as does he come on most missions and you've got him just in case you need him? And how many times have you used him?
Oh gosh, he's not part of the team with us. He's assigned to the bomb unit. So because it's a UASI grant, so it's a kind of a regional asset. But he's housed with our bomb unit. When we need him, when we're doing a warrant, or if we get a barricade, be it a barricade in a house or a vehicle, generally we'll call them out and they'll bring the robot dog out. And it's usually part of our progression as we go through the things to try to get somebody out, say it's a barricade, or even doing a warrant, to make it safe for us. So we'll get the door open, maybe send some 40s through a window to kind of get the blinds down so we can get a good view inside. Maybe try to use a drone on the outside, try to get a view of the living room, maybe upstairs, depending on, like I said, what the situation is. And then we use generally, once the door's open, we'll use a robot to clear the threshold and try to clear the house. Prior to the robot dog, we had other robots, like the tracked robots that everyone's pretty familiar with. And they have some limitations as
hung
well.
up on stairs.
On stairs all the time. The robot dog doesn't really have that problem going up and down stairs. It's a pretty good tool. Good cameras with it as well, so we can kind of map out the layout of a house generally. It has some limitations, though, too. It has gotten hung up multiple times. Now you have an obstacle. So, I mean, it's new enough that we're still trying to sort of suss out the best use of it all the time, and when is it not appropriate for it to be used. Falling down, if it's a narrow stairwell, there's always the chance that it falls down the stairs at the bottom of the stairs. Now it's an obstacle.
Now it's blocking.
Now is it like, help, I can't get up? And you're like, shit, now we got to rescue the robot.
I'm falling and I can't get up.
Yeah. So it hit kind of an alarm that goes off, and then everybody rushes in.
Well, it's because we just had the interview with Elk Grove, and we were talking about drones and K9's working with drones. And we are all kind of the opinion when drones first came out, like,
crap.
We're not going to be able to use canines. The drones are going to take that over. And it was the exact opposite experience. What they were having is that drones were helping them be more successful in their deployments because they could pinpoint locations. Yeah. The drones were on scene. They actually have, I don't know what your guys' drones do, but when they get a hot call, the drone goes up immediately before the call taker finishes inputting the call. And they have a drone operator in dispatch. Once they hear the address, they send the drone to hover over that call. So they were calling it a negative response time. Yeah. So essentially,
they're there before the call
hits the screen.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was. They have two large drones. One sits on the department, and another one's across town. And as soon as they get an address, they're
up and going.
And then the thing doesn't even have to. You physically don't have to put batteries in it. It tells itself when it's low on battery, goes back. Grabs another battery, goes back on scene. Yeah, it was all.
They're gonna listen to this podcast. Somebody's gonna listen in 5 years. They're gonna be like, "That's it." Yeah. God, you guys are
they
behind
just hover
the times.
the city all the time.
Yeah, they're in the sky all the time. What's cool about the robot dog, from what I saw, is it can actually open up doors,
It can.
which was always an issue with the drone.
And grab a
right?
beer. I mean, water.
Retrieve it.
Open the fridge
retrieve
for
water.
you. It has limitations. Like it can some doors, some it can't. If it's like a heavier door on a closer, it doesn't quite have the energy for that. But it can get some doors. So it has some limitations with that. So our drone program is not quite as cool as the Elk Grove's one. We have the drone will come out in the car, but we don't have like the larger.
They launch from the building or something.
Yeah, he has them in his car. Then they'll pull it out and send it up, and comes back every 20 minutes and changes the batteries. It's a great tool though, because it has the thermal and all that. And we just got the interior drones as well, so we can start putting the interior drones in. And I'd say it's been incredibly helpful trying to locate people, and it hasn't had a negative effect on our dog deployments at all. In fact, it's helped.
I think that's the thing, whether it be with the robot dog or the drones, like, especially canine handlers are always like, oh, you're going to take away my work, right? And then the reality is most of those tools end up making your work a little easier.
Go in, open the door.
Yeah.
Let the dog in.
Yeah, because that's always the hardest part, right? Like, how are we going to get somebody up there to, open the door and all those tactical considerations? And now you got, a robot dog that can do it. That's substantially easier. Does the dog have thermal on it or any kind of night vision?
That's a good question, and I don't know.
That's all right.
I haven't been there when they're looking at it, so I'm not positive on that.
So one of the things I like to ask, and for every agency that comes in here, is selection. And so it sounds like it's a pretty dang coveted position, I assume, at Denver PD to be a canine handler that's with SWAT. What does your selection process look like? Is there a line out the door for guys and gals wanting to do this, or is it?
You would think so, but there hasn't been recently. I think we will have more interest coming up with newer officers, but it hasn't been as much as I would think. A couple at a time when we put it in the bulletin, announce openings. Generally, just one or two we'll put in for it.
Darn.
It's a lot of work.
I think that's what
nationwide.
I mean, all across the industries, we have the same problem, but you would think the size of your agency and the kind of cool shit you're doing. Hey, I'd like to thank one of our sponsors, Ray Allen Manufacturing. They've been engineering tactical and working dog equipment like harnesses, collars, leashes for military, police for over 75 years. They are continuously innovating. I always like to say, this is not your dad's Ray Allen. They are always looking for the bigger and the better. We get all of our handlers now in the basic handler course deal directly with Ray Allen. We get our harnesses, leashes, tugs, e-collars, gloves, Rec Specs, Hearing Dog Pro. All of our good stuff comes from Ray Allen Manufacturing. Look them up, rayallen.com. I cannot recommend them enough. We only recommend people that we deal with, and these are good people, and they're in it for the right reasons. So because of that, rayallen.com.
Yeah, I think I do think coming up that we will have more, because the guys have been out there more, especially at night with some of the newer officers. Our handlers have been with the SWAT team on the day shift most of the time, so they just weren't really out there and interacting with the officers as much. So that they're out there more now. So I think we should be getting more interest, because it is super cool. The selection is it's challenging. I got to say, I'm glad I never had to go through what they have to go through to do that.
What does it look like? What does your guys' selection process look like?
So generally we'll have an interview, but we don't do, you know how you do a selection board when you go to promote and stuff like that. You go into a room and they ask you some questions, and we don't quite do it that way now. And we do it same for the SWAT operators. We add a little bit more with the canines because it's a more challenging position, I think. But we'll actually take you, like we'll give you a time. Hey, meet me here at such and such an address. They'll get there. They'll get in my car with me. I'll read them a scenario. As I start driving them to a location a few blocks away, and we'll go to the extent of printing up a bulletin, like an official bulletin with a suspicious car or person, and I'll hand it to them. This is the person you're looking for. This person's been involved in, say, an aggravated robbery, and I'll pull up. And I'll say, hey, this is the vehicle that they were in, and we will have that car parked there behind an abandoned house, some house or some location, a warehouse, and then I'll give them a scenario. Okay, you run up on the car, or you come up to the car. And the people ran from this car. People are calling it in, and then that scenario will progress based on their responses,
their decision making,
right? And they'll have to. Yeah, I want to see, are they an experienced officer? I don't want to know. I don't want them to know or expect them to know what an experienced canine handler or an experienced SWAT officer would know. But I do need to know that they are going to respond like an experienced patrol officer. Those are the responses I'm looking for to show their experience level. Do they know to call reverse 911? Inner perimeter, outer perimeter stage ambulances, notify their superiors, make themselves the IC. All of those steps, and then as the canine handler, we'll add extra stuff. Now, this will progress over a period of, say, 20 minutes of progressions through this scenario, and we'll walk them around. Say it's a house, I'll walk them around the house, and most of the team will be there watching them to add a little more stress to it.
Yeah,
sure.
And they'll say, "Hey, I'm going to set my inner perimeter up." Okay, where, how, who are you going to put? Where's your arrest team going to be? Where's your crisis entry team going to be? What are they going to have? And they'll have to actually point it out, and they'll walk me to it and show me. And that differentiates people who actually have experience from those who just practice the rote memorization of saying they're going to do certain things. And then I'll add I don't want to give too much as a case. But it gets.
There's more
going
on.
Yeah.
And are you handing them like a sim gun or something like that?
No.
Because they're not getting that far into the.
It's not a security.
It's like a tabletop. It's like a practical tabletop.
It's like a practical tabletop, essentially. And then, depending on how they do with that, if they're highly qualified, or need improvement, then we'll send them to their SWAT pistol course. They have to pass a SWAT pistol course, and they have to do the SWAT physical. So they have to pass all of those things because, again, they're members of the SWAT team, and the K9 is considered just like a sniper or breacher on the SWAT team. Obviously, there's more because you have the K9 handler, but it's sort of considered a discipline within the SWAT team.
It sounds very familiar. We had Riverside County on, and the supervision at Riverside County K9 expects their K9 guys to triage calls, right? Like sometimes before supervisors, right? Get on call. You're out there. Like, is this something that's going to require SWAT? Is this something that's going to require H&T? Like, you're expected to know enough, be at an operational level and understand case law and and policy and all that stuff well enough that you're essentially acting as a supervisor's kind of left-hand man or woman out there, and that's a lot because K9 itself is a lot, and I think that might explain why your list is
a little bit shorter.
Yeah, that's you're asking a lot. You're asking somebody to be pretty cerebral and physical at the same time, and take this furry problem maker home with you every night, right? And sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's extra difficult.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, it's asking a lot of them. I think, in my opinion, it is the hardest job in the department to be a canine handler because there's so much asked of you. And just like the SWAT technicians, 'cause that's the rank in Denver as a technician. When you show up on a scene, whether if you're the first one there on a barricade or whatever it is, it doesn't matter who else is really there. If you're the first one in green or in the tactical uniform that shows up, everybody's sort of looking to you. Hey, what are we going to do? And it doesn't matter if you're the canine handler or the SWAT technician. You're the guy. You're the guy or girl, and that's so we need you to actually know what to do. And I need to know that you think fast enough, that you can process stuff fast enough, that you can make good decisions under stress.
Do you have your K9 guys doing SWAT work like entries and building searches without the dogs so that they are a capable member of the SWAT team with or without the dog, or only with the dog?
Without the dog as well. They have to be able to do that just in case. Generally, like they don't really do that on 99.9% of our deployments. We're not asking them to do that, but they have to be able to just in case. Usually it's a perimeter position in case people run with the K9, or they're right next to the teams making entry with the dog, or they're back at the Bearcats, with the arrest team when the person comes out in case they decide to do something stupid. But that's generally, they have to do it. Like they'll go through, if we have like a SWAT basic, they'll go through the SWAT basic course with all the other guys that are on the SWAT side of the house. So yeah, that's.
And then is there K9 basic? Obviously, is separate from that. Is that in-house? Do you guys send them off to an outside school? Where are they doing their K9 basic at? And how does that unravel?
So that's in-house. So if we can, like are doing a basic SWAT school, which we did a couple years ago with one of our new handlers, They'll go through that, and then once that's done and out of the way, if I can do that, then they get the dog, and then it's the in-house 12 weeks. The first couple of weeks are no training; they're just bonding with the dog, just them and the dog, and then there's a 12-week in-house program to get them up and running with that dog, and then the certifications.
12 weeks, Greg.
I know. I know. Yeah, we're doing 6 out here, and we're going to be making it 8, I think, here shortly, because 6 just isn't long enough, and honestly, 8 isn't long enough. And I mean, some of the larger agencies are running,
24.
running 6 months, I think, in LA.
Yeah. And sometimes that's not long enough, right? I mean, the more obviously the more time you can spend with the dog, you know, having 2 weeks to bond with the dog is huge, right? Because that's one of the things we tell guys all the time is like, hey, get your dog, go home, hand feed him, just spend your. But there's also people that go out and pick up their dog on Friday and show up to the basic class on Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And that's, you can imagine how that goes, right? Especially if it's a truly green dog.
Yeah.
That's Greg's favorite.
Oh, I love that
scenario.
Yeah, they don't know sit, and they're just like this barracuda on a line, and the handler doesn't know anything, and he's walking up to you like, "Get that dog back!" I know you're not going to be able to get him off a bite. I'm going to have to take him off myself. You don't know what you're doing. Figure out how to put this leash on. I could see him sitting there looking at the collar and the leash, and just figuring that out. So hey, with the SWAT on the SWAT end though. Mm-hmm. Is there a requirement that your dogs have had a couple street engagements or anything like that? Or do you sometimes have a brand new dog deploying with the SWAT team after only a few months of training?
So the 12 weeks, that's just sort of like the intro, right? Mm-hmm. How we do it with our dogs, because it's the selection process. I mean, we're kind of looking for the Goldilocks zone of the dog. You know, that they're very pack driven. They're still prey driven, but they're social enough to be able to be with everybody, but not so social that they're running next to the guy.
Yeah.
But also not so reactive that they're
nervous.
They're nervous, that they're trying to bite everything that goes by them. And when we get the dog, as they're training them, the dog's part of the team as well. So we bring the dog in. The dog we're slowly introducing the dog to the team, in onesies and twosies, and you bring them into the unit. Then doing stuff with the dog, training, whether it be vehicle takedowns, slowly doing tack clears with them. With just a few guys in the dog, then more guys with the dog, more guys with the dog, and the handler. So we, just like a new handler, we treat the dog kind of the same way and slowly integrate that dog with the rest of the team. And it takes a little bit of time, but for us, it's worked out very well. It's been pretty successful from us. I mean, other places do things and they do it very well, but for us, this is kind of how it's worked out well for us. And then it's also good for our SWAT technicians, because all of them are pretty comfortable with the dogs. They can, for the most part, all of them can recognize when the dog gets an odor, and they can out the dog, they can down the dog. The handler can be kind of outside, and the guys can kind of sort of run the dog, with the flashlight inside, trying to point them towards a room where they want them to clear it. And some of the deployments, there's one in an attic where there were two of the SWAT technicians looking for a guy that we knew had an AR-15 that had done armed carjacking, shot at the victim in an attic space. And we put the dog up there, and then to support the dog, the SWAT technicians went up there. The K9 handler was the third one up, and it was a very confined space. I think the 3 feet high was the highest point of this. Yeah, and there was, but we ended up having, even though it's not ideal, we ended up putting this dog in on a long line because there was a void space. We were afraid the guy might have gone down there and a dog might go down there with him, and there would have been no way to get the dog back up. Right. Even though a long line in an attic is problematic, and it was problematic for us.
A dog in an attic is problematic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Crawl space, attic,
all of it.
The least favorite deployment of
Yes.
most every canine handler, but necessary.
Yeah. We've had, I want to say, probably 4 or 5 of those in the last, 6 months.
Okay. Any of them fall through, or are they all?
Almost all of them.
Oh, they fall through the ceiling?
Yeah, afterwards, the guy was this one I was talking about. Once the dog engaged the guy, and I'll give this guy credit. The dog was on the bite and did some significant damage to this guy. and he made no sound.
Just sat there.
He just took it underneath
he's
the
a one
insulation.
Yeah.
He was hardcore. I'll give him credit. Like we didn't know that dog was on the bite. The dog popped
Just
back
taking
out,
it.
looked at the handler, Juan, and Juan sent the dog again to search. Dog ducks back in, and now the guy's hand pops up. Now we know the guy's there. But getting that guy out, like it ended up busting through the drywall, and we ended up bringing him down to the drywall, and the dog's just to the interaction with the SWAT technicians and the dog. They were able to hand the dog down from a SWAT technician to another.
Yeah, no muzzle or anything.
No
Just
muzzle,
catch him.
anything. We've handed him up another one that was in a.
Actually, at that point, the dog was probably like, please,
Probably exhausted.
please get me out.
Get me out of
here.
the attic. It's hot up here, and his insulation is itching.
And I'm hanging from my harness from,
there's
from a
that,
ceiling fan.
Somebody rescue me.
Yeah, I fell through. I was doing almost identical situation, and dog
Little
went.
fella like you?
I was following Luna, and she's 65 pounds.
Yeah,
and,
she's running a club.
Yeah, and I got pretty optimistic and landed one foot on the entertainment center and the other leg at like halfway into the ceiling fan. I'm dangling. I'm like, this can't be worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys have gas in there as well?
Not on that one. Okay. So sometimes we'll use it, sometimes we'll use pepper ball, depending on. But then if we use the pepper ball up there, then sometimes it's problematic for us to put the dog up there because for us, we found that the pepper ball affects our dogs pretty.
They start to cough
More
a little
than
bit.
the gas.
More than gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little sneezing.
Little sneezing, and then they have a harder time. So we didn't use gas on that one.
Hey, for all you handlers out there, it's really important that we stay in physical condition, but it's also equally, if not more important, that we are good upstairs mentally. And so knowing that you guys have a stressful job, something that we've started doing, all of our trainers doing, and Rich turned me on to this, is sauna box.
Yeah, love it.
And it's to say it's life-changing is not hyperbole. Like, it's one of those things that if you haven't done sauna, I highly recommend it. And I was looking at like, hey, how can I get a sauna? I started looking at pricing them out. Could go up to $10,000 for a nice one. And Rich, you're the one that turned me on to this thing. It's for about $500. You get a sauna that it's steam, and it is not pleasant when you hit about the 20-minute mark if you can hang in there for that long. But when I come out of this thing, man, I feel so much better. I feel decompressed. I feel like I'm a nicer person. Yeah. It's one of those things that now I do probably 4 to 5 days a week. All of our trainers have them. I'm getting the same feedback. Rich, you have one.
Have it. I really can't live without it at this point. And like you said, it's 20 minutes. It can be in the evening. It can be in the morning, whenever it works best for you. But 20 minutes on the sauna box, and you are gassed by the time you come out of there. But rinse off, get ready to go. Like, man, your body feels better. Your brain feels better. I just feel like I can take more on that day. My sleep is definitely better. I love it, and I use it. Like, I'm with you. I use it 4 or 5 times a week. It's part of my program now. And it's the least invasive part of my program that makes me feel that much better.
Yeah, lots of studies on it. So go to saunabox.com, use keyword K9, K the number 9, get yourself an extra 10% off. Tell them Rich and Gregg sent you.
Have some fun and sweat it out.
All right.
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It's just kind of the totality of it all. It will depend on whether we're going to use gas or the dog or
and
both.
You saw the podcast that we did, and I think this is how kind of we all end up getting in touch with each other. You saw the podcast that we did on the hostage
with Mike Walsh, Lieutenant Mike Walsh,
where
retired
we're
now.
double dogging, the hostage situation. Have you guys? Sounds like you started to practice some of that.
Yeah, and it's now we've written it into our policy now. We've tested it, and in the practice runs we didn't go full blown. Like, we didn't have didn't use flashbangs on this training, and honestly, we didn't really even need to. The dog itself was such a distraction. Now, at some point, we'll do it with the bang, maybe outside, because I don't want to run the risk of maybe damaging the dog.
Sure.
But we had in our training, we had multiple handlers as hostage and victim, and dogs in the muzzle, and it wasn't like a secret. So the handlers knew that the dog was coming. They knew the dog was muzzled, and they were handlers. So they're not afraid of. They've done this 1,000 times. So even with that, putting the dog in, as soon as the door starts to open, we're sending the dog, and then they're going to throw a bang in on after the dog starts that second and a half separation between the two. So there was that provides some separation so the bang is not right on the dog, and we're probably going to throw it closer to the threshold. But even with that, the handler still, we had the handler with the sim guns, and we were running sims on this. The handler still couldn't focus on the team coming in, nor could he focus on the hostage. So he went right to the dog, couldn't take his eyes off the dog. Multiple different handlers doing this, and one of our guys that's our decoy, probably be our next handler. Also we had him do it. He couldn't keep his eyes off the dog, and it gave us separation. Like it bounced. Out of the 6 times we did it, 5 times the dog went to the victim and hit the victim because the victim save me, help me, giving the dog that stimulus. But it created separation from the victim and the suspect, which let the team take out the hostage taker.
We just saw some video from Sacramento County was practicing it as well,
Yeah.
and same thing. They weren't using handlers, but they were using decoys that had been around for a while, and they told them kind of like, hey, this is what's going on. Just handle it as you would if you were a hostage taker, right? Mm-hmm. Like keep control of your victim, fend off SWAT, do all the things that you would do to try and stay alive and keep your hostage.
Right.
And the OODA loop, interruption from the dog 100% of the time caused them to fail.
Yeah.
And, when we first talked to Mike about that, it was like, 2 dogs on a hostage. Come on.
Dumbest thing I ever heard, right? Like that's
exactly.
your initial reaction. You're like, we're hostage rescue with it. We're going to use them for active shooters next. We're going to be sending them into schools. I don't know. Maybe I'm onto something now. Now I'm doubting everything that I was really firm on. Did a complete 180.
Yeah,
and now it's like, God dang, this is
it's very successful. And I mean, it makes sense, right? Like when you look at it as not as a dog deployment, but how can I interrupt that guy's thought process? Right. That's a pretty good way to do it. A 4-legged flashbang followed by an actual flashbang. Yeah. That's a lot going on.
Yeah.
I think like one of my handlers, I've got a pretty good relationship, and if they think something's like that's a stupid fucking idea, they're gonna say, hey, that's a really stupid idea. And one of them wasn't really a fan of it, because he had a bad experience with a dog and a flashbang in the past. And even the SWAT guys were like, I'll try it and see. They weren't sold on it, but I was like, well, let's practice it. Let's try. Yeah. And I got to say, by the end of it, and they were my senior guys and junior guys that were on the SWAT team, they were all in favor of it. They were like, this is a great tactic, given the right set of circumstances. Mm-hmm. This is fantastic. The other sergeants were on board with it and thought it was really helpful. The lieutenants thought it was great as well. So it has to be the right set of circumstances to use it, which are pretty narrow. But given that set of circumstances, everybody was on board with it.
That reminds me, and I wanted to talk about this, the flashbang. I think you can get away with a lot of mental disruptors for the dog when the dog is in drive, right? Like I send a dog into a room, he knows he has a plan to throw a flashbang in there. Those dogs rarely even know that flashbang is happening. Their eyes are rolled back in their head and they're doing dog stuff. Right. There's agencies that are doing gunfire, flashbangs, those kind of things around dogs when they're out of drive, meaning, hey, I need you to lay here and be quiet. Boom, flashbang's going off. And then we do that again a couple days from now. Maybe they're doing a bunch of warrants or something like that. We're doing that again a couple days from now. I need you to lay here on the perimeter, be quiet. Boom, that's going off. And the dog is like, already got some anxiety going, starting to tune up a little bit. And now several days in a row, it's hearing the flashbang, it's hearing people going in the building. It's out on the perimeter, kind of losing its mind a little bit, and there's no real recourse from that. I think it's important that if you guys are doing a lot of work where there's flashbangs, but the dog is not in drive, the dog's not expected to be doing something, throw some hearing protection on the dog to let it disseminate some of that volume, because you're going to, if your dog is a little anxious and a little high drive, and you keep repeating that, you're going to end up with a problem that's hard to recover.
Yeah, that's a good point, Rich. And for our listeners out there, right? So if you're going to introduce this, number one, like Rich said, get some rec specs, Hearing Dog Pro, introduce the flashbang at a distance, watch your dog's demeanor, see how they're responding to it. And then also be careful if you're throwing a flashbang that they don't see it as an object to chase and bite, because that's not going to end up very well.
No.
And then this would go, I'm sure, into the selection of your dogs. I mean, I know you want dogs that are solid around gunfire, but the flashbang's almost like a level up from that. So there are definitely some, and we've talked about it. Like, I think a podcast coming up, we're gonna get some trainers together, some teams together, some operators together that have been doing this, and come up with more of a training protocol.
Yeah, how to introduce that, had a, like the we're talking about the muzzle.
The muzzle, yeah.
yeah, and 2 dogs at once. Because I mean, I'm sure you.
And a robot dog. And a drone.
Gotta have a
And
robot
all
dog.
of that.
Yeah.
Just woof.
Yeah, do it all at once. Like it's a lot easier to have. We talked about it, and this is a little tease, but if you have 2 dogs and 2 decoys, and each dog has their own lane to success, then you can probably start getting that closer and closer where the dog has clarity. Probably not the wisest thing to say, hey, you 2 dogs and you 1 decoy, let's try this out and see how it works.
It's competition.
Yeah, that may not go well.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
anyway.
like you said, you teach. I just don't follow the dog in front of me. There's enough in here to go around, kind of thing.
Yeah. So teaches them they can share. We're almost at an hour, man. That we knew that was going to go.
I knew it was going
To go fast. Anything from your side, if people want to contact you, or if there's somebody in a surrounding agency that says, hey, man, I want to go to work for Denver. It sounds like a lot of people aren't lined up for that spot.
Hey, how are you guys taking 60-year-olds? I'm talking for Rich. Do you guys have like an age kind of thing?
No, come on in. Come hired right there. Yeah.
Washed up. Officially washed up.
A little broken, but hey.
Yeah, it's all right. Things, I can mend it for a day.
Yeah, exactly. You can hold it together.
Denver scares me, man. I watch the news. I mean, there's a lot going on in your guys' city. There's a lot. I was going to go out there and go hang out at one of those underground nightclubs, and that's off the list now.
God dang it,
Can't
Trump.
go there. Yeah,
You had your chance.
there's a couple apartment complexes I was looking at. That doesn't seem safe, so I'm just going to go visit. I love your guys' REI. Every time we go through Denver, my wife makes a stop, and that's a 3-hour pilgrimage from the bottom floor to the 4th floor, whatever they have going on there. And
There's some catacombs underneath it too. There are some good training venues.
oh, really?
Yes, sir.
What was that building originally? It obviously looks like some kind of is it a boiler plant type thing, or
I don't know.
that's important. That's a historical information.
I will find out. I'll get back to you.
Awesome. We really appreciate you coming on. I'm going to get you in touch with Brady out there so we can talk about the medical stuff. We'll take care of that afterwards. But really good.
Anybody can email me if they want to get a hold of me or any questions about how we're doing things.
Okay, cool. That's exciting stuff. Thanks for sharing the information. I think it's really good for us. There's so many different agencies across, between California and the East Coast, and there's so much that we don't know about what's going on in the middle of the world. And it's great to get that information. Greg had that, obviously, the supervisor's course, and he gets to talk to different groups about the things that they're doing out there. We get emails, messages on social media all week long in between the podcasts that we drop, and it's really cool to get the information. Sometimes it's sad, right? Like sometimes people are like, man, I just need help and my bosses won't let me get help. Can you kind of slide me some tips on the down low? But for the most part, like it's a big world, but it's made smaller because of the podcast, because of social media. Like we get the opportunity to meet and talk to guys like you, and it's really great for our listeners and good for us to, keep our edge sharp.
Yeah, well, and you got to stay ahead of this thing, right? Because it's like dog training is changing rapidly, right? Like we're just leaps and bounds in the dog training area, and now we have technology. We got friggin' robot dogs with lasers, out there, and it's like if you tune out, and whether you're a SWAT operator or K9 handler, like the world is moving fast. It's going to leave you behind.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
it's moving in a great direction because it sounds like the way you guys are operating is like, I guarantee you're saving suspect lives, victim lives, officer lives. Just doing it right.
Awesome. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. It's been an honor to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having me.
thanks, Jesse.
In the meantime,
Train hard.
and be safe.